Hey guys, I'm Ben.
I'm Selena.
And we are Nomads and Wags. We are a couple in our 20s that wanted a change of pace, so we decided to pile everything we had into a travel trailer, scratch that itch of travel, and travel the United States. So we wanted to do this style of a video because it's going to make it so we're able to lay out everything from the very beginning before we even made the decision to do this trip, because it was a very last minute decision. So we want to take you back from the very beginning, go through the whole process, and explain everything that we can't even really do in a vlog style format. And that leads into our why behind why we are doing this.
We've just needed a change of pace in life, and we've always wanted to travel, so we just figured, why not go this route?
And why we want to make videos, why we want to document this process, well, simply we think it would be cool to watch back with loved ones while we're here, share it with our kids, and also maybe while we're on our deathbeds. It'll definitely be better than watching what is on the news at that time.
We decided to go on this trip so last minute that we just decided it back in July.
At July 17th, it was not very long ago, and a couple things kind of fell into place for us, so we decided that we wanted to hop on the road. And we didn't know when we were going to leave. We just know that at least the first thing that we did need was something to travel around in.
We knew that there are a few non-negotiables that we needed in something that we were going to live in full time if we were going to do this full time.
Those non-negotiables for us were it being half-ton towable. I had a Ford F-150 at the time, more on that later, but we needed it to be half-ton towable because that's what we were going to be towing it with. We also wanted a washer and dryer. We did the math, and we didn't want to deal with laundromats, so we wanted to have a washer and dryer in the unit. There's not a lot of travel trailers that have that. We needed it to at least have some kind of extended season or 4-season package, being that we knew we were doing this full time and we were going to be doing a lot of the United States, so we didn't know what we were going to encounter, and we wanted to be comfortable on the road. And we liked the idea of a travel trailer. It's a lot more economic, easier barrier of entry, and easier to tow around.
After looking in a few campers, it didn't take long for us to figure out that this is the one.
Yeah, this was pretty much the only option that checked all of our boxes. It was not really, it was a really easy decision for us in the area that we were at. It checked all the boxes. It worked for us. So in the time frame that we had, like we said, very short time frame from when we decided to when we left. So that was our option, and we went with it. Once we finally got this beautiful machine home, we had a better grasp on the overall amount of size that we were working with, all the storage that we had, and how much we were going to actually have to downsize all of our belongings. And it was quite a task. And Selena, being the organizational genius that she is, spearheaded the downsizing movement, getting everything organized in the RV. Everything has a perfect place. She did an amazing job. I love this girl. She is so good at what she does. So she did all that. Everything fit perfect. And once we got everything moved into the RV, we had a better idea of our departure date. We initially wanted it to be by the end of September, but a couple things went in our favor, so we were able to move it up initially to September 15th and then all the way up to September 10th, which was our official leave date.
Yep. Once we made a final decision on our date, I kept trying to push Ben to move into the camper right away because I was already ready to clean up the whole house, downsize, get it all organized in here, and I wanted to just fully live in here to kind of get the hang of everything. But he kind of just was not wanting to leave the house yet. I think he didn't want to say goodbye quite yet.
My nomad legs were not completely ready. I wasn't fully ready to get in there, so I was kind of holding on to the land a little bit too much, but it was the best decision once we did move in there.
Yeah, this was in the driveway, so I just kept moving things in. I was ready to go. But eventually, what was it? When did we finally move in?
It was about 2 weeks, I would say, before we left that we moved in here. Really got everything settled, kind of figured out, made any last minute changes that we wanted to do, and really settled in before we actually put it to the test on the road. Mm-hmm. Now when I say living in the RV in our driveway, we hooked it up to water, we hooked it up to electric to kind of run the water and obviously use the electric, but we still used all of the plumbing sources inside of the house, so we didn't have to get any of the tanks full, obviously do any sort of dumping, but we did everything else as we would while we were on the road.
It was really interesting because, when we had a full running house, we were living in here and we were running dishes to the sink of the garage, washing them in there and then coming back in here. But it was fun to try to figure it out.
Middle of the night bathroom trips were a little bit interesting. Now that brings us to weighing the RV, and we waited until the last minute to weigh the RV, and we got very lucky. We were right at the carrying capacity, just a little bit under, so that was nice, but we took it over to the local garbage place the day before we left, so we really pushed it close there, weighed it, we were all good, got all of our slips, and that was our last ticket before, our last green light to get on the road before we did. So on top of this all, we got our 3 rental houses rented out, squared away. Selena quit her job as well as wrapped up things with her clients at the time. We said our goodbyes to our family, had our final dinners, gave everyone hugs and kisses, and then we got on the road. Alright, September 10th. It came way too quickly. We pulled out of our driveway, turned right, and never looked back.
There was definitely so many emotions going on when we were like about, I don't know, halfway down our street. We were like, oh wow, we're not going back. We're not coming back. We don't know when. I mean, obviously we know we're coming back home. Eventually we have to, but it was definitely a weird feeling.
Palms were sweaty, waves of emotions, like we said. The dogs didn't know what was going on, but it was quite a surreal feeling to say the least. So after leaving the house, we were headed from Traverse City, Michigan, our home city, up to Wilderness State Park up in Mackinac City, Michigan. So we had a shorter drive on the first day, right along the water. It was beautiful, and that led to our first mistake at the campsite.
So Ben was actually pretty excited to tell me about his first mistake. He just goes, oh, Selena, we ran into our first thing. And I was like, oh gosh, Ben.
And so when I was booking our first site, I don't even know if I saw that it had full hookups or what, but I completely missed it. I read either the wrong color or something, and we had electric only. We didn't even have water, no sewer, obviously, but we didn't have water, so all we had was electric, and that wasn't very good.
So it was basically just the same thing that we were used to in the driveway of our house, just washing dishes in the camp sink. So that's what we did, and used the bathroom there too, which was fine. But we were excited to finally use the camper bathroom, but nope, that didn't happen for a long while, actually.
We'll get to that later. By all means, though, even though it didn't have hookups, it was a beautiful campground. Even though it did rain, we were right on Lake Michigan. It was gorgeous. We were there for a couple nights. We packed everything up, headed across the mighty Mackinac Bridge to the Upper Peninsula, and made our way to Gladstone Bay, Michigan for an overnight, and that was a really cool campground. Selena loved it there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was kind of like the first time, like the first moment I really realized that, like, this is like our lifestyle. We're camping, and we always loved camping growing up, so it's just a very exciting feeling.
The weather broke after like 3 days of rain in Mackinac, so yeah, it was the first time we were able to get out, really enjoy ourselves, have a fire. We had our first fire in Gladstone. That was really nice, and then we got everything ready and headed off to our first new state.
Then we were on our way to Wisconsin. We went to Lake of the Woods.
Lake of the Woods was our first Thousand Trails park, so that was kind of cool. It was after Labor Day, so there weren't many amenities that were open, but it was nice and secluded. It was beautiful. They had some lakes and some woods and a lot of annual sites, so that was something new for us. Selena got to even meet a cool couple in another RV.
Yeah, they like in the middle of the I say middle of the night, but it was like 11 o'clock. We were going to bed so early at this time, but it was 11 o'clock. I was like walking to the bathroom. This couple like just caught me, and they were like, hey, where are you from? And gosh, do Wisconsin people like to talk. I mean, they took me in. They literally took me into their camper, like, and showed me around their camper. I was like, oh, wow, these people are friendly, but don't worry, it was safe. They just wanted to show me their camper because they saw what I was living in.
I started to get a little bit concerned. She was gone for quite a period of time. I thought you got abducted into the Wisconsin woods, but people are way too friendly in Wisconsin. Next, we kind of turned the jets on and booked it all the way to Minnesota. We went to a KOA in Minnesota in the middle of nowhere for an overnight. The highlights were soybean and cornfields. So there were rows and rows of corn and rows of soybean. A nice sunset, and that was all we needed for Minnesota before we booked it out of there and made it over to South Dakota.
This was our first overnight in a Cracker Barrel, which means claustrophobia, like no slides, no hookups, no nothing. It's a struggle.
It's definitely an experience. After the Cracker Barrel, we booked it into the middle of nowhere, into the middle of South Dakota at Oasis Campground. That was a pretty cool campground. It was just an overnight for us, but they had a pool that was closed. The heat was turned off. It actually felt pretty refreshing. We really enjoyed it as Michiganders.
We took it in.
It was refreshing.
We used it, for sure.
Yeah. People thought we were crazy. We loved it, as you saw in the video. That's the opening scene for all of our vlogs. So we hopped into that pool, enjoyed it. After Oasis Campground, we made it to our first longer stay at Heart Ranch.
Yeah, I mean, at this rate, we were going very quickly. I mean, we were staying at places for 1, 2 nights.
It was exhausting.
3 nights. It was just very, very quick trips. So this was the first time we were actually able to take a break, take a breather, and take it in.
Set everything up, enjoy all of the things that we brought along with the trip, and also, for the first time, we used our pooper.
At this point, we were a month in the trip, and we still hadn't used the bathroom in here. So, I mean, people were saying, if you got it, then use it, but, and I kept asking him, but he's like, whatever, we're not that far of a walk from the bathroom. And, I mean, it was nice not to have to figure it out. We were slowly learning things, so it was fine.
Yeah, I was way too stingy. I didn't want to pop one of those TST tabs down every single time just for an overnight.
It makes sense.
Or 2 days, so we were hoofing it to the bathroom for a little while, but it made us really respect that porcelain throne, the plastic throne, when we used it for the first time. And it's worth it to use it, for sure.
Something that we were able to take a breather and play with for a little bit were these longboards that Ben decided that he was going to get for us before we went on the trip, because we don't have, we have road bikes, so back at home, and he didn't want to buy anything else to travel along with when we were looking around at different cities that we were going to and stuff like that. So he ended up getting us these longboards, electric longboards, mind that.
And they have posed to be one of the best decisions that we've made. They are extremely fun. They work great for scouting out campsites. So if you're looking to see what the best campsite is, you can kind of zip around on those. And they're great for exercising the dogs, because we have 2 dogs that are both very high strung, and they take a lot of exercise. So it kills 3 stones with 1 bird, 3 birds with 1 stone, and they're very nice. We're having a really fun time with them. And Heart Ranch is in Rapid City, South Dakota, so that was our first experience with national parks. We went to Badlands National Park, and we waited until our first national park to buy our national park pass. It was well over a month into our trip, so we were like, why spend the money then? And then we got a national park pass that had an extra month on it, because we didn't even use it for the first month. So we bought it there, toured the Badlands. It was awesome, amazingly cool. And also we did obviously Mount Rushmore and all that kind of stuff as well. So that was the first time that we really, like we said, opened our wings and explored the area. It was pretty cool. Rapid City is a pretty cool area.
Mm-hmm.
While in Rapid City, a check engine light popped up on my Ford F-150, so we wanted to get the truck in and get it checked out, because that is the steed that is pulling us through this whole adventure. So we wanted to get that taken care of, so we went to the Ford dealership in Scottsbluff, Nebraska. We did that for an overnight, and everything was good with the truck, but we were introduced to our first time to goat head stickers, and they hurt us, but mainly the dogs. The dogs didn't even want to leave the camper, and we didn't really either. I'm glad we were only there for 1 night, and then we hightailed it to Colorado. And that brings us to one of our favorite states on the trip so far, the beautiful state of Colorado, which had some warm amenities as well.
Yeah, there was a hot tub right on the site, so that was nice. We used that every morning, every night. We took it all in.
It was awesome. KOA, thank you for having hot tubs at the actual site. That was pretty cool. We explored a lot of Colorado. We really wrung it dry. We went over to Boulder and saw your friend.
Yeah, we saw my friend she taught us a dance class, and so it really took us out of our comfort zone. It was different. We loved it.
Contact dance, I guess is what it was called.
Contact improv.
Yeah.
Improv?
Something like that. It was unique. It took us out of our comfort zone, but we really enjoyed it. It was really fun. Outside of Boulder, we explored Estes Park, which is another amazing place. The drive to Estes Park is as good as the city itself. I mean, that mountain drive was spectacular. We saw a lot of wildlife on the trip too, and we hiked up a 1,900 vertical foot climb up to Gem Lake Trail to this lake way up on top of a mountain. It was super cool, and we even found one of the coolest bathrooms on the way up there. It's this little tiny porta potty. It doesn't even need to have a door on it because you can see right in the top, and we'll include a photo of that because it is worth it right here.
The hike had a lot of elevation, and that was something we're not used to, so Ben was a very, very good motivator with that.
1,900 vertical is not easy, so that was something that was definitely, we were feeling it, especially at the top. But everyone passing us was older than us, so that gave us a little bit of inspiration to keep going. So throughout our time in Colorado, I was secretly shopping for a new truck. The Ford F-150 did absolutely amazing, but the trailer that we bought was definitely at the top or the upper end of the towing capacity for the F-150. The gas mileage was cut over in half, so it was really bogged down for sure.
And we both drive the truck towing the trailer, so you could really feel when a big truck is going by, a big semi, you could really feel the tug, and it was just a little too much, and we knew it was going to get worse, especially going up some hills. So.
Oh yeah, definitely through the mountains. It was our last point to make the decision before we decided to really throw some elevation at the overall setup, so it was now or never, and we went through 2 different dealerships, found one that worked for us. It was an extremely long night, and it even led us to staying the night at the Ford dealership in Loveland, Colorado, in the middle of the employee parking lot. It was a little bit sketchy, but you gotta do what you gotta do. We were dead tired. We had a new truck. We leveled it.
Thanks to you guys for being awesome at the Loveland Ford dealership, honestly.
Yes, they were extremely helpful. They made it as easy as possible. They were very dog friendly. We went out with goodie bags for the dogs. It was truly a good experience, but we were dead tired. We set everything up, adjusted the weight distribution hitch. Our itinerary for that morning was quite full, so we got everything ready. Everything was level, and then we hit the road back north, retracing our steps to Wyoming.
That drive over to Cheyenne, Wyoming was so smooth and felt, honestly, it was a big difference. It was well worth it. We felt a lot safer, is really all I can say, in the F-250 compared to the F-150.
You could say it was love at first tow. As soon as we got to Wyoming, we were greeted by every single weather prediction that you have thrown into a blender, put up in the sky. It was equally as cool as it was terrifying. It went from sun to crazy clouds, lightning, and everything in like 10 minutes, but it was a spectacle to see, and the weather didn't let up. We went from Cheyenne, Wyoming over to Laramie. We wanted a couple shorter drives for the initial break-in period of the truck, and we got, again, more sun, more crazy clouds in Laramie, and then we booked it all the way over to Rock Springs, which was the first longer tow with the truck. Super, super easy. At that time, the truck was getting broken in, and it worked perfectly out to Rock Springs. Rock Springs is where things got shaken up a little bit. The wind started and it did not stop, and it just increased. So we actually had to extend our stay 2 extra days because the wind went from 10, 15 miles an hour to like 40 miles an hour for 2 days consistently. It was nuts. The trailer was rocking all night long, and that was quite an experience, but we were glad that we extended that stay, let the weather dictate our movement, and then we got out in a lot better weather off to Utah.
I will say that is the first time that we had to stress about changing all of our bookings and do all that. So that did make things a little bit more complicated because we did have things booked in advance. So, but I mean, it was the first time we had to learn to do all that, so that was good.
Everyone made it really easy too.
Yeah.
So just talking with the camp hosts and stuff, everyone moved things around.
Yeah, it was a really cool experience.
Yeah, a lot easier than we thought. That takes us to Aspen Grove RV Park, which was in Utah. That place was really cool, extremely clean. You could eat off of the concrete pads that the RV was sitting on. The amenities were really nice. Bathrooms were super good. And we really enjoyed Utah. Having red mountains in the background, you can't really complain. We checked out Park City. That was probably my favorite town that we've been to so far. I have a soft spot in my heart for ski towns. I really enjoyed that. And we really soaked up Park City. That was definitely one of my favorite days so far.
Next stop was Boise, Idaho. I really wanted to go up into Idaho because I actually wanted to see a friend, but that didn't end up working out. And then we only stayed there one night, and that was in a Cabela's parking lot. So another tough night.
Parking lot overnight, round 2.
Yeah.
Cabela's was a hoot and a holler. We had a fun time inside of the store. Luther didn't like the taxidermy animals, and we walked around Cabela's long enough that Bambino even pooped in the store. So we got the Wiggles out, we got some other things out, and we were ready to get on to the next state. And that next state is our final state headed west, which is where we're at now, which is
Oregon.
Oregon.
Oregon?
However you say it.
Oregon? Oregano.
I like that. And our first stop in Oregon was just over the Boise, Oregon border in Pendleton, Oregon. And we stayed at the Wild Horse Resort and Casino, which I enjoyed. I thought it was really nice.
Of course, Ben was excited about that because it's a casino. There's blackjack.
I like blackjack, but unfortunately things didn't go my way. I lost money and
I got hurt. I decided to take the longboards on a little run to get the dog's Wiggles out some more by myself with 2 dogs, 2 leashes, pulling on an electric longboard, and I fell twice.
you can imagine what happened. So I was down money, she was down health, and we were kind of bruised and battered.
Oh, but there was a hot tub and a pool, and we did use that before he went to the casino.
Yes, there was that. So that was our positive, for
There you
sure. And now the real meat and potatoes of the trip starts. We made it to our first Thousand Trails park that we were going to stay at for a long period of time, and that was in the beautiful area of Mount Hood, Oregon.
That's the first time I have ever seen like a mountain, honestly.
All there is in Oregon is just fields of green trees and volcanic mountains that just pop out of nowhere. It was spectacular. You'd see the mountain, and then you wouldn't, and then you'd see it, and you wouldn't.
It was so fun to try to be like, wait, where is it?
It was crazy. We enjoyed the drive thoroughly getting there. We got all set up. Our campground was gorgeous. We had it drop right off to the river on the backside of the camp.
It was literally like on a cliff. And just the trees and the moss and the mushrooms growing in Oregon, everything about it is just so beautiful. I just love Oregon.
Mount Hood increased our itinerary by quite a bit. We got out and explored a lot of different things. There are waterfalls beyond belief. We explored Multnomah Falls. That was really cool. That waterfall was miles tall. We ate some really good food at Koya Kitchen.
Yep.
That experience was insane.
Yep, that was something you honestly have to see. It's just very different.
So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Unfortunately, 2 of the 3 cameras died, so we're going to chop it right there. We're going to leave you guys on a cliffhanger at Koya Kitchen in Mount Hood, because we're obviously in a different location now. So we'll be doing another Talking Heads video to bring you up to speed here, but that's where we're going to leave you guys there. We hope you enjoyed. We'll catch you guys in the next video.